you ready?
Good news, everyone!
I'm the surprise in your cereal box. I'm
great! Everybody else sucks!
I said, are you ready?
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's Ciely.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
That's right! You're always blaming me!
So, my reputation exceeds me.
It's time to check the link.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list!
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
What is up, you ducks? Where is everybody? Oh, there we go. His comments coming through. It's all in football. I guess it's like Thanksgiving week, a lot of traveling, everybody's going on. But it is week 12, waivers, early look, week 11, look back and talk about things a little bit different, Chris. I figured at this point of the season, there was a tweet I put out about Lamar Jackson kind of spurred where we're going in today's show. I'll get to that in a second. But it's a worry show. Normally worries are on Tuesday, but today's kind of like a worry show for the rest of the year.
Okay, yeah.
I guess like, you can't really say worry Monday. So I don't know, like Migraine Monday. There you go.
Yeah,
Migraine Monday.
Monday works. Yeah, Migraine Monday
These
works.
players are giving you a migraine. Migraines on Monday. Quick shout out real quick. Sad news. I missed this. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from the animated series, like the voice of Batman, passed away like about a week and a half ago. I didn't even see this.
Yeah.
So love that show growing up. Like that's the voice. Like I wanted him to play Batman in the movie because like that's the voice I associate with Batman. So anyway, sad news for that. But yeah, because I thought about it when the intro was going on with the Darkwing Duck, obviously. Who's off of
that's
him.
right. Yeah.
So also bad news. Yes, I know Jiggles Wan'Dale Robinson officially out for the season. He tore his ACL. Kadarius Toney was out for most of that game. Got me a big fat 0 in flex leagues. You're relying on Colt McCoy tonight. It's week 11, man.
Yeah.
Like things are getting crazy. But this is what I tweeted out, Chris. This is what I tweeted out yesterday. So because Lamar Jackson, again, did not throw a touchdown pass, so it was the second time that he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since week 6. It is also week 6, 4 games, and 6 games since week 3 where he hasn't even thrown 2 touchdowns. He's thrown 2 touchdowns once since week 3. One single time. That is it. He doesn't even have multiple touchdowns, period. Because that was the first rushing touchdown he had like in forever. So no multiple touchdown games, but one since week 3. If you want to know since week 3, Chris, he has QB 15 in fantasy points per game. He is sandwiched between Jacoby Brissett and Marcus Mariota. So migraine, I know, Migraine Monday, if he is your only quarterback, because, I mean, if you drafted Lamar Jackson, you weren't drafting a backup. But if you're headed towards your playoffs, if you survive so far, if Lamar Jackson is your only quarterback, how panicked are you for your playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it's not what you signed up for, that's for sure. To hear those numbers, remarkable. I know he hasn't been tossing a lot of passing touchdowns. And, I think part of that is, Bateman had a couple to start the season, and he's not with the team. Mark Andrews missed a little bit of time. I think that is part of it as well.
Oh, yeah, he's who's who of wide receiver. His number one wide receiver is DeMarcus Robinson. But
who popped off yesterday, but I mean, you have to take that with a grain of salt, I think. But I mean, it's slightly worried for sure, but he still gives you that I guess that decent rushing floor, but he's not hitting his ceiling. He's not even coming close to his ceiling. If he's been quarterback 15 since what you say, week 3, week 4, like that is basically when he lost.
Yeah,
Bateman.
So basically week 4 after week 3. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Jacoby Brissett's been better. He's been Marcus Mariota is slightly worse. Like that's where he's QB 15. So if you're out there, like, here's the problem. That's what I was about to say. That's the follow up to this. The follow up is your waivers are probably maybe Daniel Jones, who's actually been picked up in a ton of leagues because he keeps running. So what it comes down to, let's even say Daniel Jones is out there, and you're headed to your playoffs. Do you really bench Lamar Jackson? And I think that's the question we need to ask ourselves. Unfortunately, I don't want to say like you are, but I feel like if Lamar Jackson is your quarterback, you have a backup at this point if you're headed towards the playoffs, just so you're not real quick. For everybody out there, like I mentioned this in the waiver column last week, like now's the time to pick up a backup quarterback. This is my preferential order.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback, then defense, then tight end. Because tight ends are you probably don't even need a backup tight end. Like if week 16 your tight end goes down, just go find like Harrison Bryant was still better than David Njoku at this point. Like just go find a tight end. So they'd be quarterback then defense, but make sure you get one because it happened to me one time. I give Scott Pianowski so much credit for this, and this goes into Brett Thunderstruck's thunder. Like he asked this question. I was in the flex leagues. I was in the championship week. I was cruising along. I forget who my quarterback was, but I had a top 4 quarterback. I was like, whatever, I'm good. Like, and I'm not going to get a replacement level to him anyway. But all the quarterbacks started getting taken up, and even like the Daniel Jones of the world started getting taken up. And then we were headed towards championship week, and Scott Pianowski went, you know what? I'm blocking Jake, and dropped like wide receivers and running backs and had 4 quarterbacks on his bench. And then my dude got hurt. And you know who got hurt? And was my replacement? I had to go to Johnny Manziel for the championship game. And I lost because Johnny Manziel did not win me the championship game. So Brett is asking this question. He's saying, heading into tonight's game, his opponent has Kyler Murray. Do I go grab Jimmy Garoppolo and Colt McCoy to prevent him from having a quarterback? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's dirty, but it's just part of the game. It really is. I did this last week. I was playing somebody who, I don't know, he had like Mixon and a couple backs on bye, like maybe Mixon and Saquon, and like his top 2 backs, and he's rolling out. I don't know who he rolled out, but there were some running backs that, weren't fantastic options, but I knew like Jerick McKinnon or some other running back. I'm like, listen, I am getting these backs so that you have to roll out a Zach Moss, which is something that's what he did. He played Zach Moss against me 2 weeks ago. That's it's kind of what you have to do. It's dirty, but you got to do what you got to do. I would pick. I mean, I can't believe the owner's waiting that long. I would go get Jimmy G and just make him play Colt McCoy. That's the way I would roll.
The only time I will ever say this. You're allowed to stop watching this show right now. Go do that and come back. That's the only time I'll ever say you can stop watching or listening. Go do that before. Like, this is like one of those trade situations. Like, I can't believe you got offered this trade. But yeah, this is 100% block your opponent. So let me go to a quarterback who has actually been better of recent, but worse overall for the last 5 games. QB 18, the last 5 games. This is the sample for all the players we're talking about today for Migraine Monday. Last 5 games. QB 18 at 15 points per game, Tom Brady. If you were relying on Tom Brady to turn things around, decent schedule. More concerned or less concerned than you are for Lamar Jackson?
I'd probably say I'm more. I think I'm maybe more concerned about Lamar. Just like the pedigree that he has, where you drafted him top 5. He's not throwing any touchdowns. He has no wide receivers. So at least Tom has a couple wideouts. And last time we saw him, they had a little bit of more balanced attack. They were running the rock. Maybe White can give them a little bit something. Yeah, maybe they can give him a spark in the run game. Godwin just scored his first touchdown last week. You still have Evans. You can't bank on Julio, but Julio had a touchdown last game. So I think I'm a little bit. I say I'd roll the dice on Tom, but I mean the floor is lower with Tom Brady because he can get you 4 points any given week. When with people that play in Yahoo, you can pick up anybody at any moment as long as they haven't played in the game. So when
sleepers
when
like that
Fields
too.
went down yesterday, I looked at Geno and Brady, 2 guys that were dropped that were on bye. I was thinking about Tom for the long term, but I need a win so bad that I went with Geno because he's got the Raiders this week. But those are 2 guys that probably were dropped, and I don't know, man. Like if Tom could throw 3 or 4 touchdowns a game,
you just threw it out there. Rest of the season right now, you can only pick one: Geno or Tom.
I probably would go with Geno. To be honest, he gives you a little bit of a rushing floor. Without looking at the schedule, I think I'm going Geno. I mean, I'm living week by week right now because I love that Raiders matchup. It's fantastic. And he's got the 2 stud wide receivers that he's throwing the football to. Walker looks good. So, I mean, Geno's been a good quarterback this year. He's been very accurate, and he gives you a little bit of rushing floor.
I just sent Boyd and a bench piece for Geno Smith in one league with Jamie in a CBS league because they're like, yeah, you know what? I'll take Geno. It was for Trevor Lawrence. Like, I forget what the trade overall. There's other pieces involved, but I was like, yeah, Geno over Trevor Lawrence the rest of the way. So I could definitely see that.
I don't love the week 15 versus San Fran, but it's okay. You can figure that out when it gets.
San Fran is dangerous, but they are susceptible. So this is I threw this out last week and again this week for the matchup tonight. Is they give up big wide receiver plays. Like they don't give up a lot, but when they do, they usually pop off for like a 15, 20 plus yard reception. So if you could hit a couple big plays, and DK Metcalf, lock
Absolutely.
it too, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, so running backs. Do you want to start low or high?
Opposite. All right.
Okay, then we'll start high. So there you go.
Oh, you so. All right.
Your boy, Miles Sanders.
Oh,
Last
yeah.
5 weeks on PPR. So there's a lot of these players have a bye mixed in. That's why I did 5 and not 4, because there's a bye mixed in for a lot of them. And this is why I'm doing points per game. Miles Sanders is RB 29 in fantasy points per game. Another dud of a week. 10 points per game. That doesn't sound like it should be 29, but it is. How worried would you be if Miles Sanders is your RB2, Chris?
I am concerned. I think I said this last week. I said that I had him ranked in the late 20s, and then I found myself moving him up a couple spots on Sunday morning. I don't know why, but I did. Double-digit carries is something that he is getting. That's nice, but man, what I saw yesterday, 2 weeks ago, it was just the game plan wasn't good for him. They really weren't on the field a whole lot. Washington had those long drives, and he was kind of game scripted out of that contest. This one here this week, they had a drive where they were running the ball with him pretty nice, and then Hurts took a shot deep down the field with him, and there was a PI. They got into the red zone, and they started a first run with him. I think it was a 9-yard run, and then as soon as they got in the red zone, you know what they did? I know you know what they did. They took him off and they put in Boston Scott. 3 straight plays inside the red zone. We've seen this numerous times with the Eagles over the past couple of years, no matter whoever the coach is. You go back to Doug Peterson and Frank Reich calling the shots, and now recently here over the past couple of years, Nick Sirianni. So I am concerned, but the schedule is nice. I think trade deadline's probably over. He would be a buy low candidate
This
for
week.
me.
This week for a lot of
this
weeks.
week
Is the fall
I mean,
this
Green
week.
Bay this week is not. It's not phenomenal, and the Titans, but week 14 Giants, week 15 Bears, it's okay, right? RB2, I feel okay, but if I'm getting them as a flex, I'd buy low because it could happen. But yeah, I mean, the red zone thing is you got Hurts calling his own number, and you got Boston Scott inside the red zone. They seem to like Boston Scott in the red zone, and I'm not. Honestly, I don't know why, but it's the way it is.
It is the way it is. I would never have had Miles Sanders as my RB2, to be clear. I said that at the beginning of the year. I would have had RB3. I actually don't know.
Great to start. It was fine,
but this is what
tailed off.
That's Boston Scott wasn't involved. And this backfield is it's very similar to what I said about the Ravens. I hoped for J.K. Dobbins, but it's the same comparison I'll make. The Josh Allen with the Bills. If they turn to one person, yes, absolutely, top 15 potential running back. Devin Singletary did it last year. He's done it at times this year when they've used him as such. But any backfield where you add a second, let alone a third, and it's just get away. Yes, they're going to be valuable weeks, but it's going to be frustrating when they are, and you have to kind of almost keep that running back in your lineup because you don't want to miss. Because there's no predicting, yes, you can kind of play matchups a little bit, but then, like you said, there's no guarantee that they're the one that gets the touchdown and it doesn't get yanked from them. So speaking of touchdown, DeAndre Swift saved his day yesterday with a touchdown against the Giants as Jamal Williams put up 8 billion points and continues to be an RB1.
Unbelievable. What a season.
The stupid annoying thing is different injuries maybe shift a little bit. I had Jamal Williams all the way up at 13, 12 again, and then some different injuries maybe rejiggle whatever, and he fell down to 15 or 16 and projections, and I'm in my mind I was yeah, I should push him back up. Yeah, that's fine. I was and I went RB 15, 16. You're starting him anyway. Was actually in my mind, my thought is you're starting him. I was I should have just pushed him back up to where I had him. Anyway, DeAndre Swift. 9.2 fantasy points per game. RB 35. He is, if we didn't know who DeAndre Swift was, he is basically the 30% part of a timeshare. Do you go try to get him before the deadline? I guess that's where I'm going to send this question. Do you try to get him?
Last week I said yes. Last week I said
I know, that's why I'm asking you again.
Pretty cheap, and
after seeing against the Giants,
I don't think so.
He was essentially a garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, I can't imagine a running back that I would want to trade for. Miles Sanders versus Swift. Just give me Miles Sanders. I know he's touching the ball at least 10 to 12 times. I have big time concerns. He's clearly not 100%. Whether the lines are telling you he's 100% or not. Justin Jackson's getting in there and getting carries. So yeah, he's the third option on this Detroit team. So
did you know, Chris? In Week 11, Justin Jackson, the third running back, Kyron Williams, the third. Well, I guess technically Darrell Henderson was the third running back yesterday, but for all intents and purposes, on the depth chart, Kyron Williams and Justin Jackson, more fantasy points to Saquon Barkley.
Well, one of those weeks, right? I mean, Saquon and Nick Chubb, I think those guys.
You remember Eli Manning on Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
If Brian Dable was watching this feed.
Tough go. I mean, he got some carries. He's going to get some run. Yeah, I mean, it is shocking, right? I actually had the Lions to win that game, but I thought it would be a lot closer. But you think that he would be able to run all over the.
Oh, I had the Lions.
I don't know.
Too. Do you remember what I said when they were 6-1? Do you remember what I said about the Giants when they're 6-1? I said they're going to finish 8-9, and everybody's going to be annoying as hell. They're going to win 2 more games for the rest of the season, is what I said. And everybody's going to be pissed off. Maybe they get 3 more, and it's 9-8. Either way, they're going to just miss the playoffs, get a middle-of-the-round pick. Anyway, I don't know.
How about Jamal Williams, though? I mean, don't need to get into him, but my goodness, 12 touchdowns in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multi-touchdown games from Jamal Williams.
No, that's actually really
crazy,
Brett said he's basically 2021 James Conner, but I think he's even better than that because James Conner didn't have that many. You know who he is? Screw that, James Conner. You know who he is? He's Tom Brady running back. He's
I mean,
what is he on pace? Is he on pace for 18?
He's not super efficient.
He's LeGarrette Blount.
Tackles.
He's LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, he pretty much is. He's not catching any passes either, right? So he is LeGarrette
Katowski
Blount.
got it. I just called him Katowski.
Got 0
like
catches
we're high school
last
buddies. What's up, Katowski? I'll see you after lunch.
What?
Hit me up in Fifth Bell.
Fifth Bell. Wow.
All right. So, how about this running back? Speaking of Tom Brady running backs, RB 36, 8.9 points per game. Leonard Fournette. They headed into their bye. Rashad White was getting more of the work. Giovanni Bernard is back. Leonard Fournette. How much of a migraine is he giving you right now?
I'd be a little concerned. I do have him in some spots. The one league I have him, actually, I have White as well. I just played them both last week. I'm so thin at running back. I just roll them out and I'm shake my head every time and just hope that, they can combine for an RB1 performance, like a top 5 performance. I'm concerned because, he got the hip injury now. Let's see if he plays this week. Reports when he suffered that injury was potential 1 to 2, but he had the bye. And then you hear, you see this all the time with rookie running backs. Is it a good time for White truthers that the bye happened? You would have had a game from bye this past week or a game from White this past week, or maybe it sets up perfectly for him as the young rookie running back to overtake the offense. A bye week and he started that game in Germany. He got the first couple possessions. The first, I think, whole series is basically him. So yeah, you're putting ducks. Give me 3 at least for Lenny Fournette. He's looked awful all year running between the tackles.
He has been. So I will say it's also it's a significant worry. You're 100% right. I don't disagree that this is possibly a 50-50 split down the stretch. Very much like the other backfields we've talked about before. I always turn to the Broncos from last year. But the Buccaneers have the 3rd best 15, 16, 17 week playoff schedule. I say maybe it's also a buying opportunity for we can be concerned about Fournette and still buy because
absolutely
you get him at a discount. He's possibly startable in this split, similar to Pollard and Zeke, who I on the show I compared him to Zeke last week. But guess what? You're starting Pollard and Zeke. You can start White and Fournette. And what happens if they're just saving him for that stretch and then all of a sudden they give him 70% of the work? Yeah. All right. Speaking of combined, how about this one, Chris? Combined, these 2 running backs for the entire backfield of this team couldn't even outscore Saquon Barkley. That's Michael Carter and James Robinson. That is the misery of the New York Jets. Michael Carter, in the last 5 weeks in points per game, even after Breece Hall got hurt, 8.5. He was RB 37. Thought no more Breece Hall might unlock things for him, even with the increasing workload of James Robinson as he's got healthier with this team. All that being said, speculative healthier. There was whether or not he was 100% healthy with the Jaguars, or they were just phasing him out. Point being, Michael Carter, here's where I'm going to put this. Not is what's your concern, because if you have a roster, if Michael Carter is your worst running back, do you drop him for a backup quarterback right now? That's the question I'll ask you.
Yeah. I mean, I would drop Robinson, I think, for the backup first.
Obviously. No, you need to make a tough call here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Five-man
probably.
bench.
He's my worst running back. I have 4 or 5. I mean, it's important to have the 4 or 5, right? We've said this so many times.
If he's your 5th running back.
Okay, if he's my 5th, yeah, absolutely no problem.
If your RB4 and 5 is Rashad White and Michael Carter, who do you drop? Michael Carter?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's, yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Big time concerns. I mean, the Jets offense runs through the run game, but I don't know. Like, this team can't move the ball. Like, Zach Wilson can't.
Was it?
He has to make some throws for them to be able to run the football, right? You're not getting any traction with James Robinson. I mean, it's the Pats and Belichick. They just stack the box. Like, good luck, Zach Wilson, right? Good luck. Wide receivers are complaining again. It's not just Elijah Moore. It's been multiple wide receivers now. Garrett Wilson is calling everybody out. A couple years ago,
you have a rookie calling you out.
A rookie and a sophomore. It's and then did you see Zach Wilson? Did you see his presser? Like, for him to answer that quickly when he asked the question about whether he let the defense down, I'm sure he's very frustrated.
I mean, that was kind of a shitty question,
like
dude.
It was a shitty question for sure. You're right. You're not wrong. It was a BS question. What do you want? He's clearly triggered, but he came across as like a bit of a spoiled brat.
You ready for this?
I'm sure the defense is not happy with that answer.
Both these quarterbacks have 7 games played this year. Completion percentage, 57.8, 187 yards per game, a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 6-6. Whoop-de-freaking-do in 7 games. This quarterback has a 55.6 completion percentage, 183 yards per game, and a 0.8 touchdown to interception ratio because he has 4-5. The first one was Baker. The second one is Zach Wilson.
Man. The Jets, I don't think they'll do this, Jake, but Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win football games. Their defense is phenomenal.
White? Anybody does at this point.
At this point, I wonder what you do. But yeah, they can't move the ball through the air, so these running backs are useless, right? I mean, that's why you see Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson got more snaps and more run than James Robinson. I guess because they felt like maybe he can catch a pass or two out of the backfield and help them move the chains. But it's bad. Yikes.
So we'll save the wide receivers for tomorrow with Lauren and maybe do like a Temple crushing Tuesday. I don't know. Something. I got to think of something. Because we have way too many. We didn't get to any of them. So, but I do want to talk real quickly because this is recap day and this won't be on the waivers show. Najee Harris, even before Jalen Warren got banged up, that's 2 weeks in a row of 20 carries, 2 weeks in a row of 90-plus yards on the ground. He had some receptions again because Jalen Warren got hurt. That layoff, did I not say this to you, Chris? I wasn't calling it, to be clear. Yeah. But I was saying, just like Antonio Gibson last year, is maybe that brief little week and a half. Do you think Najee Harris is back to being, is he RB1 territory, or are you not ready to put him back there yet?
I'm probably not ready because of some of the guys that have moved up this year into that territory. And I still think
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. But the schedule does. I mean, they had a very, very tough schedule for the first few weeks of the season. It kind of turns in their favor. There's some nicer matchups. A great day for the Steelers. I mean, they didn't win that game, but they hung around with the Bengals. They had their 2 longest touchdowns of the season. One was the Najee run, 19 yards. Another one was a Pickens, I think, a 26-yard reception. That's how bad the offense has been this season. But I think you can feel pretty good about Najee. He looked a little bit fresher yesterday, running out wide. I noticed he's running out wide. He was getting the corner a lot more than he had. You're right. You called it. The week off certainly did seem like it would help him. I know people, if you have Najee, this is the time maybe just to consider, hey, whoa, I've been waiting all week to potentially sell high. But it's not a must. Just see what you can get, right? I mean, running backs at this point of the season, if you can get somebody that's going to get 18, 19 touches per game, I think that's pretty valuable.
So before we get out of here, and waivers are tomorrow with Lauren at Chris Meaney, code all in, get you 20% off at FTN, The Athletic. We have special, by the way, I'll just say this. If you haven't signed up, just wait till Friday. The Black Friday deal is coming back. If you know what the Black Friday deal is for The Athletic, just wait for that. That is the best deal that you could ever find in the history of forever. So, yes, just my links get tweeted out, so just click on one of those come Friday. Before we get out of here, this is a simple question. We're already out of time. But, Chris, going forward from today, who would you start if you could only pick one, Najee Harris or the God, Tony Pollard?
I would play Tony Pollard. I mean, at this point, maybe he is gone. I don't know, man. This guy is just good for him and the Cowboys. Like it just Zeke suffers the injury, and they really have no choice but to turn to him, and he looks great. So, Tony.
Apparently, those Chuck Norris jokes I had last year were a year too early, and they're real now. We'll be back tomorrow with Lauren to talk waivers, more worries, get your questions of who to drop, who to add, all that type of stuff. We'll be here tomorrow. And until then, have a good one, Katowski. I'll see you later.
Go McCoy.